to commemorate and to mourn one of the greatest crimes of the 20th century. One of the secret crimes, but nevertheless one of the greatest crimes. That is the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people from their homeland by the Zionist hoodlums, thugs, gangsters, murderers that become known later on as the Israeli Defense Force.
You don't want to go to the further part of that.
Now I'm going to read you a little fairy tale. It's what many Westerners believe about Israel and the setting up of Israel. They believe the following. The United Nations set up the State of Israel by partitioning Palestine. The Arabs foolishly rejected this plan, and 6 Arab armies invaded Israel. The Arab governments wanted to slaughter all the Jews. The Arab governments ordered the Palestinians to leave their homes, while the Israeli government begged them to stay. Heroic little Israel defeated the Arab Goliath. The Israelis desperately wanted to make peace, but the Arabs only wanted war. Still, the Israelis heroically, bravely, amazingly set about making a wonderful, modern, progressive democratic state in the land which the Palestinians had neglected. Now, friends, that is the story that is believed by most of the Western world. It is believed certainly by the Australian government, when last year they congratulated Israel. Now I'm here tonight to tell you it is all lies. Every single word of it is a lie, a damnable lie. Not a myth, a straight out lie. Now when you want to see the real lies, in 1960 Hollywood made a movie called Exodus. Okay, but we know the truth. Now the Arabs, of course, have always known the truth, what happened. They've always known it was AlNakba, the disaster. They've always understood that the setting up of Israel was a disaster for Palestinians. When the Arabs tried to tell the world that, the world would not believe. Okay, but now we know the truth. Since 1978, when the Israeli army archives were opened up, there's a group of Israeli historians, some of them quite brave, have told the story. In 1948, 10th of March, 1948, in what was called the Red House, now the Sheraton Hotel, David Ben-Gurion and the Haganah met, and they drew up the final plan to get rid of what they called the Arab problem. And it was their final solution. It was called Plan D, or the Dalit Plan. It was a plan to systematically get rid of, and if necessary, slaughter and murder the Palestinians. Now, Plan D. Now, Ben-Gurion was a clever man, a racist, thug, but clever. Now, he tried to cover his tracks. He even signed an executive order saying the Arabs were not to be touched. He then went around ordering people to get rid of them. Now, Ben-Gurion knew he did not want to go down in history as the great ethnic cleanser, the great expeller, but that's what he was. Like the Nazis before him, the Nazis were very careful never to leave evidence that there was an order for the final solution. But Hitler did give an order for a final solution, and Ben-Gurion also gave an order for a final solution. Now, the Islamic world has long known the truth, but we in the Western world are only beginning to learn it now. We have to struggle against the lies that are told, the self-serving lies of the forces of evil. Now, I want to talk about how we must go about that process. Now, the great anti-Vietnam War activist Ron Kovich said some time ago that he would never again ever let any government tell him who to hate or who to fear. As a young man, he went to Vietnam fearing and hating the Vietnamese and the communists. But he's now turned his back on all fear and all hatred. Now, tonight I would like to say to you this. We should never let any government tell us what to remember and what to forget. The Zionist media has been telling the Palestinians they should forget about AlNakba. But the Palestinians will never forget. What is more, to tell them that they should forget is filthy racism of the first order. If you want to understand how racist it is, think of this. Who would tell the Israelis or the Jews around the world to forget about the Holocaust? That would be a crime to do that. Why is it not a crime to tell the Palestinians to forget about AlNakba? We put Holocaust deniers in prison. We put AlNakba deniers right at the top of the right at the top of the White House and the governing places in the West. AlNakba deniers should be treated like Holocaust deniers. Now I want to repeat this. Our memories belong to us. They're not the property of the imperialists. They're not the property of Barack Obama. They're not the property of the Zionists or the media barons like Rupert Murdoch. And we should use our memories to remember the victims. Now I want to read you now some words by the great Jewish philosopher Walter Benjamin. It comes from his thesis on history. I would like you to remember these words when you read in the Australian about the modern, progressive, democratic state that is Israel. You know, it's a vibrant and progressive. Now, Walter Benjamin wrote, a clay painting named Angela Novus shows an angel looking as though he's about to move away from something he is fixedly contemplating. His eyes are staring, his mouth is open, his wings are spread. This is how one pictures the angel of history. His face is turned towards the past, where we see, where we perceive a chain of events. He sees one single catastrophe, which keeps piling wreckage and hurls it in front of his feet. The angel would like to stay, awaken the dead, and make whole what has been smashed. But a storm is blowing from paradise. He's got caught in his wings with such a violence that the angel can no longer close them. The storm irresistibly propels him into the future, to which his back is turned, while the pile of debris before him grows skyward. This storm is what we call progress. Now, since AlNakba of 47, 48 and 49, the pile of debris, the catastrophe that is Israel, is piling skyward. Now, Benjamin also wrote that the dead have a right to be remembered, to be redeemed by our act of remembering. We owe the act of remembering to those Palestinians who were murdered, to those who were driven out, and to those who died broken-hearted in the refugee camps. When David Ben-Gurion ordered the mass murder and expulsion of Palestinians, he hoped the world would never find out the truth of his crimes. He also hoped that one day the Arabs would forget. 60 years later, Ben-Gurion is long dead, but the memory of AlNakba lives on in the hearts of all the Palestinians. And more, the world is looking at Israel and seeing it for the monstrosity that it is. Ben-Gurion and his successors have built a racist, filthy, apartheid state, a crime, a shame to all humanity. Not a light unto the nations, but a blight unto the nations. Now that same state is reeling under its own violence, its own corruption, and its own moral decay. The former president of Israel is at the moment facing charges of rape and sexual abuse of his staff. Those are the kind of people who got to the top in Israel. It's now run by people like Bibi Netanyahu and Avigdor Lieberman, who has talked openly of the need for another ethnic cleansing.